Well done, Alex. And excited about this week. Excited about getting back out. We've talked multiple times about kind of some of the things that were bothering us, and based off of how we've practiced last week and Sunday, I'm excited. This is we really needed this time frame, and I've said again a few times that open dates can sometimes come at good times and they can come at bad times, and I think this was a very good time for us. We needed to get back healthy, and we needed to get that bounce back in our step, and I think that we've been able to do that, and multiple people now are healthy. And it's showing up. I mean, it's showing up in what's happening on the practice field, and it's showing up in the production in relation to, it's showing up in confidence out on the practice field in terms of the confidence players having each other, and there's just a little bit more bounce in our step. And so we're anxious to play against a very, very good football team. The only thing you have to do is turn on the video, and that's what I told our players. You look at their record, and I recognize that their record is not good, but I don't know that it's indicative of this football team. They've continued to get better each and every week. And in the process at this point in time, I think they're playing with a little bit of confidence. Their quarterback's playing well. They've got some nice receivers. Offensive line has come together after a few problems earlier in the season. From a defensive perspective, they've got a very, very unique scheme that we have not seen this year, nor will we see the rest of the year. And so that creates a few issues. Very, very athletic in the secondary. And they just haven't won. I would make a lot of comparisons to this football team in relation to a couple years ago when we went to Western Kentucky. And we're playing against a team that had not won some games in a while, but had good players in the program. This one's like that too. And Coach Miles has done an outstanding job with this group of young men. Jeff Jagozinski, Harold Etheridge, two guys on the staff are guys that I used to coach with that are outstanding coaches. And so we're going to have our hands full. I know that our players, after already watching video on these guys here for the last couple of weeks, have got a tremendous amount of respect for them. Our players know that we're going to have to play well in order to be competitive. And so we are looking forward to that moment, have that opportunity to get back out on the field. Questions?
I think this is the first bye week you've really had since you've been back at ULM. What things have you done differently this week compared to what you've had to do in the past to try to kind of pseudo-create a bye week?
Yeah, it's hard to pseudo-create one, because they're there or they're not, and basically, it's that extra amount of time. I think you approach every off week a little bit different. I don't know that there's this standard operating procedure in relation to how you handle it. I think you're looking at your football team's health. I think you're looking at your team's maturity. I think you're looking at those opportunities to maybe get ahead on an opponent, whether you need to get ahead on that opponent based off their scheme. For instance, there was a time frame from when everybody was playing against a wishbone team, you tried to get an open date before you played that wishbone team, and it's still prevalent, I think, in the ACC before they played Georgia Tech. And so I think there's a lot of different things that you can do during this time frame. We knew that first and foremost we needed to get healthy. The second thing that we needed to do was to kind of have an opportunity to look at some of our players that maybe are not playing as much right now, but we've got a lot of guys that we played this year. It's kind of interesting. I was comparing. The Georgia State has more senior starters than what we have. How about that? You think about our team in terms of kind of a lot of our seniors. We've had some guys that have played for so long that everybody thinks that we're this senior-laden football team in relation to the two deep, and it's kind of interesting. But we've got some younger players that that have been playing well, but maybe just we don't have full confidence because they just haven't had as many repetitions. And so we were able to kind of go back and look at some of that. I think that with some of the health issues that we've had and some of the transitions we've had to make on offense, knowing that we were going to get some guys back, it allowed us to maybe get involved in some things again. And we're excited about that. We worked extensively on the kicking game, and not just, again, with our ones and twos, but with threes and fours, because that's where your depth can become so fluid as the season progresses that you need guys to be able to step up and play well. So that's how we kind of approach this one. I think that every one of them is different, and I think it all kind of depends on kind of where you're at as a football team and what time of the year it falls also. But again, it's been nice. I mean, it really has been. It's been a very, very productive week off, if that's a good term. Week off, I don't know which it wasn't, but week off from playing.
You talked about everything kind of being different, or you saw it last week and then through this past couple days. What do you think was the flip switcher in there? I mean, is it just the break, or?
I think it's a little bit of that. I mean, you start looking at, I think Troy and us were the only ones that had played 7 games as fast as we had, across the country, and because very few had played that many games, and especially as quick as we did with the Thursday night games. I think that sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get over a tough loss, and I think Baylor, again, if we're talking truthfully here, which I'm assuming that's kind of what everybody would like for me to be, then the Baylor game was that I don't know that we had recovered from that Baylor game for a little while, and frustration, embarrassment, whatever the case might be. Now I think that some of that now, there's a different light that's shining on that game now in relation to kind of what Baylor has done, and so maybe it's not quite as embarrassing, maybe it's not quite as frustrating. I think the other thing, obviously, too, is from an injury standpoint, we had to do some transitioning. And anytime that you're not doing what you'd like to do, I'm talking about as coaches or players, that upsets you. It was the right thing to do. I don't have any question about that, but it's still frustrating. And so with getting some guys back healthy, I think that creates a little bit more of, okay, we're back, that type of mentality. And it's noticeable. It's noticeable on the practice field in terms of the way that we're moving around. And I made the statement, rightly or wrongly, after the Tulane game about where's the team? Where's this team that I know? Now I go out there to practice, and they're back. I mean, we're back. Now we've got to go out and play. But in terms of the mentality and the attitude and all those other kinds of things, that emotional side of the game, which is so hard as coaches to control, those are the things that need to happen. And again, I'm excited just to watch the guys bounce around, regardless of how we play this week. I'm just excited to see them back.
A little past the halfway point of the season, but you said this all week. You're going to go back, kind of reevaluate some players.
Mm-hmm.
Are there some freshmen that maybe you didn't think were ready that now we could see in the second half of the season?
I think it would take probably something right now for us to come out of it, because you've got this ball game, which I don't think that there's going to be significant changes. And then you've got that quick turnaround with the Thursday night game with Troy, and then then you're looking at just having a few games left, and you have to question whether you're going to have enough snaps left in there. Now I do think that there's some guys that have been playing a little bit, and this was, I think, more of the focal point. Obviously, injuries can impact what you mentioned, right? And so you always want to be prepared for that. But let's assume that we stay relatively healthy. I think, the offensive line, I think Trey Martin, Bao Chung or Jimmy Chung, I think that they've done some nice things. I thought DeAndre Thomas this week at defensive end has continued to grow up and mature, and is fighting in, obviously has displaced a guy on the 2 deep. And so I'm excited about that. I think that the more experience that Hunter Kissinger had inside, because he's kind of bounced around at linebacker, that showed up out there, and that was good to see also. I could kind of go down through each and every individual that I think helped, that this off week helped in terms of kind of growing up, which I'm not going to do. Does it change some things? No. Does it give you a better feel? Yes, and I think that's kind of where we're at. We got a better feel for repetitions and in terms of game reps, but also if you did have some injuries, what are maybe some of the easier answers?
How has Browning progressed, and what's the outlook for this weekend?
He practiced well on Sunday, and he did practice on Sunday. Yeah, I will. I would not be surprised if he plays this weekend. How much, I think, is going to be determined on how practice goes this week. I'd like to, if I feel like that he's progressing, I'd like to get him in the game. Just, again, I think it's beneficial to kind of get some of those kind of feelings out of you when you've been off for a little while. And so we'll just continue to do an evaluation this week. He has another MRI scheduled this week. That'll also, I think, provide some clarity for us. I think the MRI is, I think, tomorrow. and so that'll also provide some clarity for us. But he's moving around well. He's excited. I mean, he wants to get back out on the field, which you have to love that young man for that. I mean, in terms of the guy just loves playing the game, and you get 22 guys out there that love playing the game. That's a lot of fun. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Do you feel like he's trying to hide stuff from you?
Well, he's always going to hide stuff from me because I'm the coach, and I'm the one that gets to control playing time. And so he knows that I'm not going to put him out there. I mean, Colton and I, we've been together for a long time, and we've got, I think, a very, very strong relationship. And, I mean, it goes pretty deep. And you want to have that with all your players, but just obviously with my time frame spent with him in relation to how long he's been in the program, but also in coaching him, he's he knows I'm not going to put him out there if he's hurt. And, if I have any kind of inkling about that, I'm not going to do that to one of my players. And so he knows that, and so he does a good job but I do a good job figuring that out too, So, I mean, he thinks he can trick me, but he can't trick me.
You said last week that he had to be 100% clear everything to be able to go. Is that MRI coming up going to determine whether we stay in this?
I think the MRI is going to – I mean, I don't know that that's the determining factor because I don't think with this injury that we're discussing that the MRI is going to give you 100% validation that everything is fine. I think what the MRI is going to do is it's going to tell you if there's issues. Okay? And sometimes, with these kind of injuries, it's how can I explain this without crossing the line here in terms of talking about injuries?
The lower body?
Well, besides the lower body, I'm afraid that if I get too much into it, then obviously, I mean, you guys know what the injury is. I can't say it publicly. The reality is that the MRI is going to give us a better idea in relation to where the healing process and how that's going. That doesn't mean that it's fine.
But,
how about that?
Yeah, that's perfect. So does he have 100% clearance at this point?
No.
No, okay.
No.
But from what you've seen out in the practice field, from comparing him to, say, after the Oklahoma week or after certain weeks, is this the best that you've seen him in? When can you say?
Well, I don't know that it's kind of a hard comparison, quite frankly, right now, in the sense that I don't know that we've seen him do everything. And so is he doing some things pretty well? He is. Have we had him open up and run and do some of that other kind of thing in relation in practice? No, and I haven't seen that. And that's kind of what I think we're going to find out this week. He tells me he can run fast. And I tell him I could run fast. We know me saying that's a lie, right? So I got to find out. I want to see it. Show me. So we'll have an idea this week, I think.
In terms of weapons, what's the status of Ham?
Jerron Ham, I think, is 100%. We laid him out of the Texas State game, as I mentioned earlier. While he could have played, the game plan really didn't necessarily require it, and we knew that in order for him to get back and do what he needs to do for us, because he's been a weapon for us in the past, we need to get him back and be healthy. And he practiced well on Sunday, and I'm assuming that he's on. I know he's feeling very good. I know he's very excited about getting that back out on the field, and we've missed him. I mean, he's a guy. You don't take really, really good players, NFL caliber players, off your field and say that all of a sudden they're going to be easily replaced. And it's if he and Jairus and Centarius, which are both doing well, the offensive line's feeling I think healthier than what they've been. We've had a couple of nicks up on defense and got them back bouncing around, and so there's just there's a little bit more happening out there on the practice field, which is good. What's good.
Hey, Todd, when you talk about Texas State scouting report-wise, I guess the only common denominator between the two of you guys is Texas State.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to have a good bit of success offensively where you guys struggle. I think they put 24
they
points
did.
on those guys. And obviously
17.
So,
yeah, they did. They threw the ball well. They scored 7 points right at the very, very end of the game with 5 seconds left to go in the game. It was 24-10 at that point in time. But they did. They ran the ball effectively. Really doing a lot of the same things that we do, and they did it better than we did against Texas State. completed a couple of deep balls on them, which obviously changed some field position. Ran a reverse on the very first play that went for about 55 yards, something along those lines. And so, again, they're playing with some confidence right now. They've got a little bit of you can tell there's a difference in this football team from the very first ball game to where they're at right now. They're growing up, and they're obviously with the new staff. They're transitioning. That transitionary process is become a little bit more muted in terms of what they know what they're doing. They know what to expect out of the coaches. Coaches probably have a better feel for them individually, and so this is a scary football team. There's no question. There's not going to be anybody that's in our league that's not. I mean, I've been in this league too long. So is the rest of the coaches. What do we always say? I mean, this league, there's not any difference in talent levels or any of that kind of thing. It's about who's healthy and who's mature. And if you're healthy and mature, you win. And that's the basis for winning in this conference, because there's not a lot of difference talent-wise between anybody in the conference, inclusive of these guys with us. There's not that much difference.
Coach, we always know that the next game is the biggest game and the one on your mind. But how big is this game as far as getting back into the conference race, going over the 500 mark there, and then getting back to a 4-4 record overall?
Yeah, I think sometimes when I have high expectations, I was caught a little bit by what Isaiah said last week in terms of going into the season and saying, we felt like we were going to win every ball game. And good for him. You go into every ball game wanting to win and feeling like that you got a chance to win. I think that sometimes when you have high expectations, though, that it tends to focus you a little bit more on this whole process, the whole year, instead of the 1-0 mentality, which we have lived on since we've been here. And so all of a sudden you don't meet those expectations, and all of a sudden the season becomes this failure. The frustrations begin to mount because where did this come from? What happened here? All that other kind of thing. And so in relation to the conference race, I don't know, and I really don't. I know that we've got a loss in the conference, and I know that we're with a win this week, that puts us one step closer. And that's all I care about. And I'm not going to even get into focusing. I don't even know what everybody else's record is. I know that we still have control of our own destiny. And so we're going to take it one game at a time. And I think our players are back in that kind of good framework right now. I think their mentality is good about just kind of winning the next game. And then we'll worry about the next one.
With that being said, I guess you don't even have to talk to them about overlooking an opponent because of where they are at this stage.
I know. That's kind of where we're back again, where we don't have to talk about some things along those lines. We're just kind of focused on this team at this time. And, when that happens, when our football team does those things, when we do those things, then we tend to play pretty well. And I'm excited about seeing us play this week.
It's almost like you can draw on your own experiences, because there for a while everybody was scheduling y'all for homecoming, and then y'all started upsetting almost, I think it was like 3 different teams in their homecoming one season. And so it's like now you think anybody can come in here and spoil a homecoming.
Well, I think that I think that this team is mature enough to recognize when they turn on video whether a team's a good team or not. And I think our team believes this is a good football team coming in. But I do think it hurt us earlier in the year when all of a sudden we turned on the tape and saw a bad team and we lost because we weren't mentally right. And this is a good football team. Our players have been around the game long enough to recognize that, and they're playing the game the right way. They're playing hard. They're playing fast. This is a talented group. Wait till you see them. I know that their record is not good. I don't care about the records. I care about what I see. And this is a good football team that's coming in. They're going to win some games now. Trent's done a really nice job with that program. They've got a tremendous recruiting base. Again, they've got, to some degree, more senior starters than we have. There's not a whole lot wrong over there right now that a couple of years aren't going to fix in terms of them just recruiting. They got money. They got all those other things. So.
From the looks of it, looks like they're putting up points. It's just basically who outscores who in a lot of these games. I know, watching the Troy game or keeping up with that one. And I know that it's a big emphasis on your offense putting up points, because that's been something you struggled
It has been a struggle, and obviously it's been a frustrating struggle because, again, based off the offensive production that we had last year, and so we have something to compare this to with basically the same players. The problem is that the same players haven't been out there with us, and that's the difference. So.
Last Colton question that really isn't focused on him, but with anticipation of him coming back, do you think that you might be able to save Brian Williams' red shirt now?
Well, I don't know yet. I mean, I think it's too early to tell because I don't know if Colton will be back. I'm assuming he's going to be. But I also know, again, with these injuries, so I think it's too early. Actually, I had a meeting with Brian this morning. He's the one that kind of brought it up in relation to, where's my red shirt? Am I red shirt? Am I not red shirt? I said, I don't know. I said, if you don't play this season, and when the final tick of the clock goes off in the last ball game, and if you haven't played, then you redshirted. And I think that's the right approach. If you're a player or coach, whatever, you're going to do the things in order to allow your team to have the best success to win at this point in time. That's what we've always done. That's what I've always promised the players that I would always do. And so we'll see where would it be ideal for Brian? There's no question. It's ideal for every freshman to redshirt. Very few of them are physically, mentally, emotionally prepared to play. And even the ones that are playing, they would be a lot better when they were seniors, if they had another year. And but sometimes you don't have that luxury, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Any other questions for Coach Berry? Thank you.
Tabby's got a big grin on her face.
What?
I don't know, Tabby.
It's just my thank you smile.
Okay, good. I thought maybe I was in trouble for something.
I was just thinking how much we got you off the hook. That was easy.
But you got about a hand for our media people with the pink.
Genius idea, right?
Yeah, very good.
I thought you just washed them with the maroon uniforms again.
Well, we don't have to worry about a pink out, do we? Because we got it already.
I actually thought you ran out of white paper.
That too. First up, sophomore Trey Caldwell. Floor's open for questions.
Seems like on the defensive side, that secondary catches a lot of flack there of some of the woes. What do y'all do a little bit differently to maybe not necessarily listen to the naysayers, but to really kind of use that to drive y'all to keep improving week after week?
Based on every week, we just work on our techniques. We don't really care about what other people think or anything like that, but we basically just gotta practice hard every week to make sure that we're doing everything that we need to be doing on the field, and just make sure we're going out with great effort. That's about it.
Coach says he's not taking a peek at the conference standings, but do you let yourself think, hey, if we take care of business here, we're right back in the middle of this thing?
Yes, sir. We got to take each game week by week, but we know we got to basically win every other game to make sure we in the bowl. So basically, I kind of take a look, but I'm not really sure how it is right now. But I know it's just close so far.
Did that Texas State game really help the psyche of the secondary in terms of the confidence level and you guys getting, supposedly, that swagger back?
Yes, sir. It helped a lot because they went for us a whole bunch of times during the whole game, and we pretty much stopped them most of the time. And just with the 2 picks that Ike had, that just boosted the whole secondary's confidence the whole game. So we felt good.
Coach said that he can see a difference and that he felt like his team is back. What are some things that you're seeing different about the team just from being out of practice that maybe wasn't there, like, say, a month ago?
I say more effort, are willing to win. We're desperate to win now. We know that we need to win to be able to go back to the bowl, and be able to just make more history for ULM, and just we know we don't want to lose anymore. That's just not us.
How's it been to be over there and getting a lot more playing time and trying to feel things out with the corners and everything? try to get a little bit more playing time and trying to make things happen whenever you're in there?
It feels great because I know I was just given the opportunity, and I just make sure I just show out each time I'm out there because you're not given too much opportunities. So you just got to make for it.
With being a corner and seeing all the things that happened against Baylor, do you think that game affected you the way that Coach Berry says it affected a lot of the team about just being frustrated and embarrassed at the loss like that?
I feel like it didn't really affect me because we knew coming out to the game what they were gonna do, like how they play. So it really didn't affect us that much. I say going on like during the game, yes, it really affected us. But I say after, no, we were fine.
Any other questions for Trey? You're off the hook.
Just thankful you were today.
Last up, sophomore tight end Harley Scioneaux. Floor is open for questions.
Well, Harlow, how do you look at this game against Georgia State?
Well, obviously, you know, they're 0-7 team, but like Coach was saying, they're a really good 0-7 team, and I know, you know, it's hard to go in there sometimes with a mindset, oh, they're 0-7, you know, we can easily win, but I feel like you have to try to avoid that. You know, some people call it a trap game, but you know, you just got to prepare like you prepare every week for any other team and kind of focus on yourselves and what you have to do right in order to play well and win the ball game.
Feel pretty anxious to get back and playing after 2 weeks off. It seems like a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we actually got to hit somebody else and play some football. So you know, watching it on Saturday, you know, it's it kind of builds up some excitement and some anticipation for this week. So I'm kind of looking forward to it, and I think the team's looking forward to it. Should be a pretty good game from our end.
Especially with what Coach Berry says has been sort of a turn back to the original, his team. They felt like he had lost at first. Do you see the same type of changes for the better now that y'all have a 5 week?
Yeah, I think it kind of got into a funk. You know, I mean, anytime you lose 3 ball games, your psyche gets down. You kind of start feeling, you know, low on yourself. But anytime you're able to win, you know, it just boosts your morale, and you're going in with a little. I think we have a little bit of confidence now. You know, hey, we can turn this around. We can win. You know, we just got to keep playing ball and keep getting better. So I think it's starting to turn towards the better.
You have a close relationship with Colton. Just what's it been like being around him? Because at first, you know, he was so down and out, thinking, okay, like, you know, my dream's over playing ball. And now that he has like this ray of hope of being back out there, just what's the conversation been like about him trying to finish what he started?
I think it's a lot of excitement. I know he's real anxious to get back out there, and hopefully he's able to and kind of show people that he is back and that he's able to, like you said, continue working towards all his goals. And obviously he's got a couple more records he wants to break and, you know, stuff like that. So I think it's a lot of excitement around the team for him because you never want to see a player lose his senior year. And so, you know, hopefully he's able to come back and hopefully maybe he can boost his team up a little bit, get a little excitement going. So I guess we'll see.
Colton's also brought a lot of excitement to the program as a whole. What's he done offensively compared to maybe with Braley? Do y'all feel a little shift in momentum or mindset when it's Braley versus Colton?
Well, every player is different. Anytime you have a quarterback, you have to kind of change your offensive mindset, and you got to understand who's back there, who's calling the plays, and who's operating as commander. But you know, like there's different things each one brings to the table. I think Colton's obviously his scrambling ability. You know, a play's never over with if the pocket breaks down, and just. I mean, everybody's seen what he's able to do on the field. You know, he's able to escape pressure, and he's very, very elusive. So I just think that's one thing he brings to the table versus Braley.
It's so nice to hear Coach Berry say that y'all still have control of your own destiny, even though y'all had a bit of a hiccup there with that 3-game skid. Just how nice is it, and how much do y'all remind yourselves that you still have control of your own destiny, starting with this weekend?
We talk about it every day. You know, we understand we have to kind of go on a roll here, and obviously finish out without losing. But we understand how competitive this conference is, and we know that whoever wins this conference will have a loss. It's just how competitive it is and how even it is. So we understand that we still have a chance, and if we went out, we'd be up there with the best of them.
Midweek game tonight, as a matter of fact, with Lafayette and Arkansas State, kind of the front runners right now of the conference race. Do y'all as players kind of gather around to watch that to maybe get a peek ahead, or do y'all just stay focused on the task at hand this week?
I think I know a couple of us kind of gather around and watch the game, just kind of see, because there's two teams that we still have yet to play. So we kind of just see what they're about, what kind of game they like to play. They like to run, they like to throw. On defense, they bring a lot of pressure. You just kind of get an idea, what you got coming down the road, and also it gives an opportunity to just enjoy football. As football players, sometimes you want to just sit down and enjoy games, instead of trying to diagnose it. So I think that provides an opportunity.